This week's episode is powered by Golden Proportions Marketing.
Thank you for joining another episode of the Marketing Meatball Mafia. My name's Christina Sarge.
And I'm Allison Micheletti. Today, we're going to talk about something that is pretty exciting, relatively new to the dental arena, I would say, but something that has been adopted throughout a lot of business models that we see. Anything from booking a hotel to ordering pizza to, pretty much anything. And that's online scheduling. It's a product that I think is disrupting the dental world. Absolutely. And something that practices should very seriously consider. One of the key things that new patients look for when they are looking for a dentist is convenience. And there's no better way to provide convenience and a unique selling position for your practice than providing patients the ability to book whenever, wherever they want. So joining us today, we are happy to have Joe from LocalMed, an online scheduling platform, joining us. Hi, Joe.
Hey, how are you guys?
Great. How are you?
We're doing
excellent.
well.
Don't forget Ghost.
Yes, we have Joe and Ghost. Do you want to go ahead and show his shirt, let people know what Ghost stands for?
Yep. So Ghost is our social media ambassador. It's GOST, and it stands for Get Online Scheduling Today. So generally speaking, he's out and about with us. If you've ever seen us at a conference or a show of any kind, ever met us in person, he's probably there stealing the show.
Well, thanks for joining us, Ghost. Really appreciate you being here today.
We appreciate the celebrity cameo to the podcast for sure. Well, Joe, I know you've been with LocalMed since its infancy, just a short 3.5 years ago, but the company has seen considerable amount of growth in that time frame, going from just a couple hundred users to now over 10,000 users. Would you say there was anything that LocalMed did in regards to your company's marketing that helped you grow exponentially over that amount of time?
So we've actually been around since late 2011, early 2012. We've really spent the first 3 years building this technology. Nobody's ever done it before. And the whole crux of our system is that it integrates directly with practices management software, like Dentrix, Open Dental, EagleSoft. So it took a long time to build that out and perfect it to where it is now. Once we got that done was about the time that I came on board. Tom Brown and myself, I was the first salesperson. He's obviously the VP of sales and marketing. Really, it was a struggle getting our name out there to begin with, because nobody had ever thought of the idea of doing online scheduling before within a dental practice. There's a lot of questions and hesitations because the solutions that have been out there up until this point really weren't working effectively. So it took a lot of trial and error. We were cold calling, we were doing some ads, we were showing up at conferences and not having anybody come by until Ghost showed up, of course. We had some trials and tribulations getting there, but realistically, I think it was a compounding effort from once we got a few key people on board. They would tell their friends and family because it makes everything so much easier for their practice, for their patients, to get more new patients, blah, blah, blah. Other people would see it. A lot of times we get people calling in. We're like, where'd you hear about us? Oh, well, I was just Googling the competition. I got to start up practice. I'm seeing what everybody else is doing. Or somebody that's, kind of gotten a little stagnant. That's just kind of in what a lot of people consider the prime, where you should just have the patient flow going, and they're looking around to see what other people are doing. So I think it's really more about just the exposure of getting people out there. It took, like I said, when I came on board, there was about 300 providers. And in the last 3.5 years, we've grown to over 10,000. But that has kind of gone exponentially based on, like I said, I think it's really just the exposure, other people using it and telling their friends and family, other people seeing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's incredible. That's incredible growth. And I love to hear that backstory that you guys spent so much time, so much effort, and I'm assuming a heck of a lot of testing to make sure that this thing worked the way you promised that it would work. And I have to tell you that seeing you or your company mentioned on Facebook groups that we're a part of, and hearing about people using you in their practices, all of that kind of testing certainly paid off. I think it's a pretty smooth process. How did you kind of get started, you personally get started in the dental world and with LocalMed?
So I have a really eclectic background. I have done everything from working at Starbucks I was a personal assistant for a disabled guy. I installed light bars on cop cars and ambulances for a summer. I worked at a greenhouse for a couple of seasons. But I've always been really technologically inclined. I'm what I would call a tech enthusiast. Other people would say a tech junkie. So I got hooked up with this startup in the automotive space, and that was a startup in the literal sense of the word. It was a trying situation. It was very exciting. It was frustrating. It was all kinds of things. Once I got out of there, I went to this company that did websites and digital marketing for dentists.
Okay.
So that's how I broke into dentistry. It was an easy transition from one into the other. But we were doing websites and digital marketing, everything. Probably, I mean, it's basically all the same stuff you guys are doing, to be honest. But it wasn't done nearly as well.
Of course.
It was sort of it was a big company. It was a really good talent pool. They get a lot of really good people working there. It was a fun environment. Things went a little too corporate for some of our taste. Tom Brown, who's the VP of Sales and Marketing I mentioned here, he was the VP there as well. He found LocalMed and called me up and was like, "Hey man, I got this new thing. You're not going to believe it. Can I show it to you?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I jump on a demo, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." Like yes, I would. He's like, "So I was hoping you'd come and be my," I'm like, "Yes, take me. I'm coming. I'm right." Yes, so now that being said, we had thought that it was going to be a lot easier to get started. As I said, a lot of cold calling and trying to get our name out there. You would think that when you tell somebody that, this is something that's affordable, that's going to help your front desk, make their lives easier. It's going to make the doctor more money, and the patients are going to like it better. It seems like a no-brainer out the gate, but just like I said, nobody had heard of the concept of online scale. People weren't looking for it in the first place. It's a scary idea. So, I mean, we were just getting shut down left and right, but that's kind of how I got started. Yeah.
Right. Well, that certainly sounds like you had quite the journey, but I don't think any of us really that have come into the dental industry and didn't specifically go to dental school. I think it's all been a little happy accident of how we got here. Maybe aside from Zanya, who married a dentist and therefore got started in dental marketing that way. Right. But I do know that online scheduling, whether it's, hotel, doctor, whatever it is, as busy working professionals, we might subconsciously sometimes think, oh, well, I have to make a phone call and that's going to take so much of my time and I don't have it right now. And I'll do it later. And we just push it off. Or we get to somebody's website or a landing page and we don't want to fill out the form, or we're like, again, I got to make a phone call. I don't have time. I'll do it later. But when we have that schedule my appointment now option, well, everybody has 30 seconds. And I find that it's like literally all it takes for me to schedule my kids' pediatric appointments, my own appointment with the eye doctor, the dentist, what have you. So now having this coming into the dental world, it's really a no-brainer. I talk about online scheduling with my clients a lot. I know the challenges that we hear, and Allison, you probably hear the same things, but I'm curious, the clients that come to LocalMed directly that maybe don't have a consultant or a marketing company pushing them towards you, what are some of the challenges you're hearing from dentists?
So it depends, again, on kind of what type, like how long have they been in the business, right? If it's a startup practice, which we deal with a lot of, it's the struggles are trying to get the practice open. It's doing all the paperwork. It's the lease. It's getting the space built out. And while you're doing all of that, they're usually still an associate somewhere else, and also trying to do marketing and get their name out there to get patients in the door for when they do open. So LocalMed comes into play for a startup practice like that, in the sense that not only does it make it really easy to tie all your marketing to it and let people schedule, but most of those people have to take all their inbound calls on their cell phone. So if they're at work, they're getting voicemails. If they're in the middle of anything, they're out with their kids, they're shopping, whatever it is. It's like, you got to stop and take this call and then remotely log in Open Dental, for instance, and it's like it's an insane amount of stuff for one person, or even if it's two people to do. So that's usually kind of where the startup people come into play. People that are kind of well established, that already have a patient base and all that. Sometimes they're looking to fill holes in their schedule, and the struggles that they have is like, okay, they don't want to give up control of their schedule, quote unquote, not knowing that you have full control over everything that's going on online. They're like, we don't want to open up Dentrix entirely. Okay, well, we're not going, like, that would be silly. We're not going to let, you know what I mean? Sometimes
that's
they're
one that we hear all the time.
Right.
I'm nervous. It's like
exactly. It's probably the most common
control.
concern. Probably the most common concern that I hear from any established dental practice. And oftentimes you get office managers who at one time were either assistants or hygienists. So they've been doing this for a long time. And they're like, I mean, that schedule is sacred to them. You know, it's their Bible.
Yeah.
So making sure that they know that they have the control over it is key. Only scheduling where you want it to schedule, only for as much time as you want, only these types of appointments, new patients, cleanings, exams, emergencies, you know. Only other kind of category I would say, other than like maybe, and a lot of those practices are hiring a new dentist. They'll take on a new associate, so they're looking for a way to fill the schedule with more patients or get a younger patient base in there. The only other kind of category I'd probably say is fairly common is somebody that's looking to modernize their practice as they're kind of closing out, finalizing their last few years, and they're looking to make their practice look good to sell it. Sure. So in order to kind of streamline things, make them more modern and attractive to a buyer, they'll do things like getting the best in class of this, the best in class of that. Online scheduling becomes one of those things. Look, we're so high tech and blah, blah, blah. It's a good image to have, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we maybe alluded to this a little bit earlier. It can be a differentiator because it is something that's still a fairly new concept that a lot of people haven't quite got a hold of yet. If you're the only one in your market providing that type of service, it can be a game changer, especially for busy moms who, you know, might not be able to step away from their desk or don't have the type of job where they can call at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock really quickly because they need to schedule an appointment. Right. They can do it when they get home after they feed their kids, things along those lines. Oftentimes, like in our position, when we're working with practices, we do a lot of call tracking. And one thing that we usually see are a high number of missed calls, you know, sometimes around that lunchtime, again, when it's typically convenient for a patient to call the practice and practice
when everybody wants to call.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. So that's usually an indicator to us that, hey, you guys can capture these leads immediately, very quickly, provide them with this option.
Right.
Yeah, we always recommend every single client that I ever talk to, I always recommend put it on your voicemail. Hey, you reached Meatball Dental after hours, but did you know you can go to meatballmafia.com and book an appointment online right now, you know?
Joe, I have to tell you, I just had a call with a new practice that I'm working with yesterday. And I said, I see you're using LocalMed. Do you have a thing on your voicemail that says, you know, almost immediately, you know, we're not taking your call right now, head on over to our website, schedule online immediately right now. And they got silent. They went, you just blew our mind.
You can hear the light bulb go off.
Yeah, they were like, this is mind blowing to me. And I was like, yes, like you have to like push people back to that solution. You're giving them a solution. Let them know that it's available to them.
Let them know that it's available. Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
I always tell people put it in any of your print marketing. Let them know, you know, like on any email, any page communications. If you're using a third party to do recalls and reminders, you can copy and paste a link to schedule an appointment right into the recall notifications. So, you know, a patient gets a text message or an email 6 months down the line. Hey, it's been 6 months. Time to come back in for your next cleaning. You can book by clicking this link right here. You know what I mean? Like, let people know that you have it. Encourage them to use it. You will see them not only an uptick in patients from, like, particularly the millennial generation. I hate to harp on my own age range here, but like my girlfriend refuses to order a pizza from any place that she physically has to call. She will only order off of Grubhub. Like, you know, it's goofy. Cracks me up. As you can tell, I don't like talking to people at all. So.
Oh, yeah. It's really obvious.
Definitely.
No, I think that's an incredibly common mindset for millennials. And I know they get a bad reputation. Well, we get a bad reputation a lot, but we have to adapt. You know, as businesses, you have to be willing to adapt. And that is absolutely the mindset. You know, I'd use the self checkout at the grocery store because I don't want to talk to anybody. You know, I'm done working a long day of already talking to people all day long. I just want to, you know, buy my cat food and my grapefruit and go home.
Well, it speaks to that efficiency and convenience factor of we just don't want to be bothered. And I don't think it's just a millennial thing. And even though we fall in that age category, I've started to say now I don't identify as that. identify 2 years older so that I'm now a Gen Xer.
There's a comedian out there, I think it's Eliza Schlesinger, who says she identifies as an elder millennial. And I was like, yes, that resonates so much with me.
Yes, because I still struggle with technology sometimes. And I'm not offended or bothered by a lot of things, but I do appreciate convenience. And I think that spans all generations, honestly, because I know even like my parents, my in-laws, they do so much online as well. And I find myself helping them do things through somebody's website versus I don't want to call that customer service because I'm going to be on the phone for a long time. I'm going to be on hold most likely. I'm going to get aggravated. I don't want to do it. Can you help me do it online? Like everybody's looking for that solution now. And it's much like that self-checkout of I know what I want and I don't want to wait for you to bag them in your own special order. I just want to go home. So it's the same concept of like gravitating towards that convenience. And it's also, I think sometimes we see as well, and I'm sure you might hear this as, too. The dentists that we work will sometimes say, well, they maybe think a little too deep about it. If I open up my schedule and someone goes in, they're going to see I have all these appointments and I don't want to look like I'm not busy. And I'm like, you're thinking too much about yourself because the patient, on the other hand, all the patient's thinking about is me and what's convenient for me. And if the patient logs in and sees I could pick any day of the week and any time I want. Wow, this office is flexible. They must have amazing staff. They may be thinking all these other positive things about you. Like you run a tight ship. You must be very efficient to be able to offer this much flexibility, not, oh my gosh, look at all these appointments. They must not have any patience.
Right.
You'd be surprised how often I hear that concern. And by the way, the exact opposite one too. Other people are like, well, I don't want to have online scheduling if I've only got a couple appointments available a week. And I'm like, oh my, you seriously? Like all the patient cares about is getting in the door. Just give them the ability. They can look out as far as they want to. Give them next week, the week after, like whatever works for them. But I get that all the time from people. Either my schedule is too full or it's not full enough. And I don't want people to see that either way. I'm like, just seriously, just give it a try.
Right.
Like,
honestly, I don't think patients care that much. They
don't.
You're giving those patients way too much credit that they're thinking that deeply into anything at all.
100%. Because they don't know how many doctors you have. They don't know how many hygienists or who is required for a particular type of an appointment.
Sure.
Nope.
They just want to know, okay, if I'm a new patient, I can get in at 9:00 on Thursday.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. Stop.
Right.
Yeah.
And most people too, like if they're having an emergency, like I fell, I busted a tooth, the kid busted a tooth, they're going to make a phone call. That is a phone call of I need to get in right now. But most people have a schedule, especially these busy working professionals that most dentists want to target. So they're most likely not going to be able to come in tomorrow or maybe even next week. They have to plan further ahead. So for those dentists that are saying, oh, I only have a couple appointments scattered here and there, that's perfectly fine because you want that patient that needs to maybe plan ahead and match their schedule. And like Allie said, we're giving the patient too much credit. Like they're thinking really hard about this. Ultimately, all they care about is, do you have an appointment that's convenient for me? Whether that's 3 weeks from now or next week.
Exactly. So you guys looking for a job or?
Well,
we're just big fans. We're just big fans because we see these struggles. We see these struggles every day, especially with, again, the missed calls or if it's a practice who might be a startup and they're struggling a little bit with call conversion percentage. We are a huge fan of pushing patients to an online scheduling platform.
And you guys are probably aware of this. I'm sure I don't know what studies where we got so many different stats that talk about all the million reasons why people should be doing this. One of them was that at your average dental practice, only like 15% of like phone calls wind up getting answered because during the daytime people are already on the phone and the rest of the time it's all after hours, nights and weekends, and that's when people want to call anyways because me personally, I'm not calling a dental office in the middle of my work day. Like I'm calling them when I'm out of work. So that seems like high to me, but when you see how many new patients people start getting when they use online scheduling, it does make sense.
Yeah, because we look at the reports that you guys allow practices that use your platform to generate, and we share those results with the practices. It usually only takes one month and a review call for them to say, oh, Yeah, that
Right.
was a good idea. Another concern that I hear, I'm not sure if you do or you, Joel, from practices is these patients are going to no-show. I know it. They're going to no-show. I don't want to use online scheduling because they're not going to show up. And your report clearly shows who completes the appointment, if it's verified, when it's upcoming, or if they did not no-show. And I'm sure I don't see as many reports as you do, but I've got to be incredibly honest here. I've maybe seen 5 that didn't show up, and that's across
multiple clients,
15 practices
right.
that book, 70 some patients each. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty good percentage.
We've been saying this for a long time. Anecdotally speaking, we didn't have, up until recently, we did not have any stats that showed specifically, okay, here's the average, and then over the course of time, like you'll see your no-shows or cancellations go down by X amount. What we have shown, again, it's all anecdotal, but we talk to clients like, how are you liking it? What do you like best? What do you dislike? Is there anything that's going on that you have a concern about or that we can help you with? What we typically have found is that if you're tracking your no-shows and cancellations, that you either stay exactly the same. So say you have like a 6% no-show rate, you're going to still have either a 6% no-show rate, or you'll see it go down over the course of time. Mm-hmm. And logically, what we've determined is because you're giving people the ability. So say you call into a dental practice and you're like, okay, I need a new patient exam or whatever. And they're like, okay, well, we've got Thursday at 2 or Friday at 4. I'm like, okay, well, neither one of those really works for me. All right, what about Monday at 3? Okay, now I feel awkward. All right, fine, give me the Thursday at 2, right? But like, it's not something that really worked for my schedule. It's something that I kind of capitulated to because that's what you had available, and now I feel weird about it. Now, if you give somebody the ability to look at the next 20 appointments and pick out one, they already know, they've got their phone in front of them, they're looking at their phone schedule. Okay, I've got this on whatever day. Okay, I can pick out Tuesday at 8:30 in the morning. I can book that appointment that works for my schedule, and I'm much more likely to show up for it. Now, that being said, that's what we have been telling people for like the last 3 years that I have been here. You guys may have heard of this. We recently merged with a company called Dental Intelligence. Yep. DI does this really. They have breakthrough analytics software for a dental practice, and they allowed us to get some serious insight into some of the clients that we have, like dual clients that are using DI and LocalMed. What they found, we just got this last week, so I'm really glad you asked because now I finally have an official stat. But across the board for dual clients of ours, the average no-show cancellation rate was 12. If I remember correctly, it was 12 point something, but I think it was 12.2%. And after implementing LocalMed, the average had dropped to like 8.4% or so. It was 8. It was 12 something and 8 something. But I mean, that's like a 30% difference. I mean, it's it's the number that you subtract whatever, but it's like 4%. But if you look at the actual change, it's like a 30% difference.
Yeah.
Right. Well, while you're throwing out some statistics, I'm sure that the listeners would be interested to know, say they have a marketing campaign currently going, whether it's their website, their Google AdWords, something like that, where the call to action is click to schedule my appointment. Mm-hmm. Do you have statistics that show what kind of increase that they can see in new patients scheduled once they implement LocalMed?
Absolutely. So probably the single most common question that I get from any doctor or business owner or marketing manager is how many new patients are we going to see? And I'm like, okay, so that's a complicated question because you've got different marketing campaigns, different demographics, different availability in your schedule. You've got all these different factors that can go into it. So it would be dishonest to say you're going to get this many new patients. But what we have seen across the board is a solid average between 35 and 70% higher conversion from every single marketing channel that you guys have. So that's including, and I know you guys know this, for anybody that doesn't know, you can put the LocalMed widget onto your website, Google, Facebook, Instagram, different insurance company directories that we're partnered with. Invisalign uses our system in their call center. 6 Month Smile puts it on their directory. I mean, into your recalls and reminders, onto any print marketing you have, you can put a QR code and have somebody scan it with their phone camera and book an appointment right from there. All of those different things that we do for a practice has its own unique identifier on it. So as you guys are talking about the reports that you can log in and see, kind of all them stats and everything, this will track for you, not just how many more patients that you're seeing booking from all those channels, which each of them individually goes up, but also show you how many patients are coming from each of those different outlets individually. So it's a really great marketing tool. Marketing people love us, as you know.
Yes, we are fangirls. Yep, it's happened. what's happened. While we do like LocalMed a lot, and it is my personal favorite, I think speak probably for all of us, because you have figured it out. You do close that loop. We do realize that you don't sync with all PMS software. So we do have like what I call my second string players, which I'll always keep in first string if I can. But if for whatever instance there is a reason that you guys don't connect to that PMS yet, we still are able to offer solutions. But we sometimes find that they don't really close the loop all the way. There's still ultimately a appointment request. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing with, the thing with appointment request that we found, and I'm sure you may speak to this as well, is if somebody submits a form, that then goes to the front office email. And those front office workers are very busy. They're doing things all day. They're answering the phone. They're checking out patients. They're checking in patients. They're collecting forms. They're doing all sorts of stuff. So for them to be expected to be sitting in front of a computer, waiting for that form to come in via email and pick up the phone, call that patient right away, we know form requests are valuable in certain places, but those types of patients are more difficult to convert. They take more time to convert. Right. So if we're seeing a lot of form submissions through a campaign, that's usually another trigger where we would say, you should seriously consider an online scheduling platform because this is what people want. They don't want to pick up the phone. They're looking for a different solution, and that's where a platform like this could come into play. Pretty
a lot of those other ones, there's actually a plethora of different companies out there that offer really good page communication tools. But again, nobody else, as of right now, nobody else has built a fully integrated online scheduling tool that integrates with all of the major practice management systems. And we cover about, give or take, 85% of the marketplace as far as practice management systems go. The bulk of that is Dentrix, Eaglesoft, and Open Dental. We've also got about 8 other ones, including like one that's Canadian, one that's Australian. We've got a few more, but I mean, all the other systems that are out there that claim to offer online scheduling, if you look at the technology, they all wind up being exactly that. It's an appointment request. Now, some of them will sync to, like, it's a one-way sync with the practice management software where they can log in and scan the data a couple of times a day. Typically winds up slowing down the system for a period of time when they're doing that, say 15, 20 minutes at a time, because it's downloading this whole database, remotely. So not only does it take a while to do and it slows down the system, but also it's not ever, other than that exact moment, it's not done in real time. So if I look at the appointment schedule, you got 3 appointments open. By the time I look at it, which it might have synced 2 hours ago, that's no longer, that appointment's no longer there. Even if it is, you send in an appointment request and it usually makes the patient think that they have booked an appointment.
Right.
It'll say, okay, your appointment is now booked. Maybe it might say something like the practice will reach out to confirm. But in most cases, those appointments wind up having to be rebooked somewhere else because that time isn't actually available. Even if it is scanning their system, which a lot of them aren't, a couple are, but even if it is, again, it's not done in real time. So a lot of them aren't available. And what winds up happening with that is the front desk calls the patient, goes, hey, we're looking forward to seeing you, but by the way, that appointment you just booked isn't actually available. Instead of Tuesday at 10, can we do Thursday at 4? Maybe the answer is yes, but think about the bad taste that's in that patient's mouth now. It's like that's setting the stage for everything else that happens in the practice. Think about, you go to a restaurant, it takes you, 15 minutes to get seated because somebody's not paying attention. Even if the service is great, the food is outstanding, you're still sitting there with this bad taste in your mouth. Like, well, yeah, but it took forever to get seated. Do you want to come back here? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it's that first impression. You can't. We all have heard this. You can't get that back. And if the first impression is a promise that they didn't uphold. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That could be a little difficult to accept.
That's why we really value the platforms that are able to close the loop, because it helps with the brand image of the practice. And from our end, the effort that we put into marketing to convey a certain image associated with the brand. So this plays right into that.
Well, it's like Fred Joyle, that the book Everything is Marketing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's exactly that same concept of, you have to give them a great experience from the very first time they interact with you. And if the very first time they interact with you is, here's where I want the appointment, and you get a call 2 hours later, I know we said we could do that, but we can't. Sorry.
And doesn't that make you guys feel great? You do all this work to make the practice look good, get the patients interested, and suddenly they call and they have a bad experience, and now I get a bad review or they don't come back. It's like, where does your effort go?
Well, exactly. And, more importantly, the marketing dollars that the practice has
Right.
spent. There's real money involved here in trying to get these patients for the lowest amount of money possible. And
Yeah, the
that
cost
is
of acquisition. Yep.
that's a lead that could have went a completely different way.
Right. I know that Allie and I both get frustrated and upset on behalf of our clients when we feel that their marketing dollars are being wasted, because regardless how well the sleek, sexy marketing is working, when we're looking at call tracking or we're looking at forms that weren't answered, get a little frustrated, because the one thing we can't do is go to the practice and convert all of those leads for them. So that's why we fangirl. We're big fans of LocalMed. We love the platform, and I include it in my marketing plans and strategies for my clients as well.
Almost automatically, right off
the bat. It is a very low cost solution. They get one patient in the door, it's paid for it, and then some. We always see more than that. I know, just personally, I don't have a formal study done, but just from my own baseline clients, once from where they were at and where they are at now using LocalMed, I've seen new patient numbers double and triple just by adding that schedule my appointment now feature. So,
and that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I have still yet to find the anomaly for someone that online scheduling does not work for.
I have.
You have?
It's when somebody doesn't put it online. I'm not kidding. The only time this doesn't work, if you are a new practice, old practice, a lot of marketing, no marketing, the only time it doesn't work is if somebody doesn't put it out there for people to use. Call up and cancel it. I'm like, do you know that you'd never actually turned this on? Like, oh, well, we thought we did. I'm like, yeah, just, try it again. Oh, look at that. It works next month.
Right.
Awesome. Well, I think that we could talk about how much we love online scheduling for hours, but I think that we've illustrated really how well it could work for practices. Are there any resources or anywhere practices can go to learn more about LocalMed online?
So you can always go to localmed.com. We're actually in the process of revamping our website right now. You can get a free demo there. Sign up, put your information in. One of us will call you back. Might be me. Demo takes about 6 minutes to do, so it's real quick and easy. It can be done in between patients if you guys, if your clients have time or whatever. If I didn't send it to you yet, I'll send you a link to a video. We got a little 2-minute video that's pretty cool. Doesn't go into the actual screenshots or what it really looks like. It's more just high level. Here's what this is. Here's why it works. Here's some stats about how it's working for you and why patients like it. It's just 2 minutes real quick. Only a place I can think of, and I'll send you this link if I haven't yet either. There's a really cool company called Software Pundit that they did a really nice write-up of us versus all of the other quote-unquote online scheduling companies. And these are probably some of what you would call your second stringers that are good at what they do, but it's not online scheduling. So these are really nice write-up in depth of what our system does, what theirs do, and all that kind of stuff. So if you don't have that yet, I'll send it to you.
Yeah. And
send it over. We could throw it up on
we'll
put
the
Meatball website with the episode.
Right.
Sure.
And then PS, we have a list of PMSs that you guys need to build a bridge to yesterday.
I have a pen and paper. I'm happy to write them down. I can tell you, we're in the process of building a couple more right now. Curve and Cloud9 are up next. We just finished Denticon.
Sure.
Go ahead. If you got a few other suggestions, we're open to them.
We'll send them to you. I've already sent my beg, please, sad emoji faces to Marlo multiple times. So, the begging face. She's gotten it. Yes.
Yeah. Just to kind of sum this up, again, to you guys, give you a lot of credit for what you've been doing. And like I said in the introduction, I think this is disrupting the dental world, and it's about time, in my opinion. Every other business out there has something that you can do online. Why shouldn't we be able to provide our patients the convenience of scheduling on their own time? Logically, there isn't a reason that we shouldn't be providing people the ability to do that. So really appreciate you guys and for building such a robust software that performs as promised. It helps our marketing, convert for practices, and it certainly helps practices grow, which I think is what we're all here for. So thank you guys for being so awesome and building such a cool product.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us on. I mean, we love working with you guys. To be honest, even if they're not at the upper echelon of like a golden proportions level, if anybody's doing even a little bit of marketing, it's going to help everything. So totally get you. It is all about growing the practice, growing more patients, making it easier for not just the front desk, the doctor getting more money, the patients who like doing it. It's just an all around great tool.
Yeah, it's a solution for a very common problem. You can't go better than that.
No, can't go wrong. All right. Well, thank you so much, Joe, for joining us, and we'll look forward to catching up with you soon.
All right. Sounds like a plan, guys. Thank you very much. Ghost says bye.
Bye, Ghost. Bye, Ghost.
Oh my gosh, she's so cute.